comfortable here because I am inside today, not outside. Anyways, we are going to be talking about dog training as per usual. I'll just give people a few minutes to jump on here and then we can get started. We talk about dog training, we'll talk about dog behavior, so on and so forth. Just let me know if you can hear me and see me fine. Make sure that this is set to public. Okay, I think it is. No point in getting started just yet because, all right, good. I'm glad. I am glad. I hope everybody is doing well. Hey, Manny, how you doing? Yeah, there have been multiple lives lately, and I don't know. I always just do lives when I feel like it. There was a long period of time there where I didn't feel like it, and I don't like talking just to talk. So, um, you know, obviously lately I've had things to talk about, and I felt like doing lives. So, I've been enjoying doing lives with you guys. Sotiri Theodoropoulos said, had my first session with you guys with Hef. We are starting sport obedience now. Handler aggression addressed in the first 15 minutes. I'm not surprised in a real way. There's a lot of things that, people struggle with for many months, even years, that literally can be fixed in 10 minutes of just doing the right thing, you know? Um, and it's not about the tool, it's about how you use the tool, right? I can't stress this enough. you know I had people, I posted that reel with the shepherd, reactive shepherd, and he's losing his mind, and then obviously a session later, just like all of them, he's standing there quietly. Well, I have a dog like barking next to him and biting the ball and doing all things that he couldn't even be close to another dog or a person when they weren't doing anything, much less doing all of that kind of high arousal stuff. And we had that in a session. How do we have that in a session? Is it because we use magical tools? No, because then everybody would be able to do it. It's not that simple. It's how you use the tools. It's the timing. It's the application. It's being clear to the dog what behavior is desirable and what behavior is undesirable. I have seen people misuse, not misuse, because misuse implies that they're kind of doing it wrong on purpose. But I've seen people screw up e-collar, prong collar, slip lead, bonker, and any other tool you can name, fail epically with it. Like, they've used it repeatedly on the dog, it accomplishes absolutely nothing. And that is because they perceive dog training as something based on tools, when in reality, if you know anything about dog training, tools just enhance your ability to communicate. But if you don't have that ability to communicate in the first place, if you they only magnify your ability as a trainer. So if you don't have the ability as a trainer to read the dog, to understand the behavior, to understand when a tool should be applied or shouldn't be applied, and the long-term and short-term effects of that tool, it's going to be useless to you. And that's what a lot of people struggle with, let me tell you, because they always think, well, should I use the prong collar? No, you shouldn't, because you couldn't accomplish anything with a prong collar if you used it for 10 years, because you don't know what you're doing with it. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're not a professional trainer. Nothing wrong with that. It's all about just kind of understanding that tools don't fix the problem. It's the correct application of the tools at the right time in the right way that fix the problem. Because what is the problem? The problem is the dog has generally a bad stimulus response mechanism. He sees another dog, he loses his mind. He sees a person, he loses his mind, right? That's the general issue. Of course, there are other issues that we can speak about, but that is the general issue. How can you communicate to him in the most quick and effective manner that stimulus response mechanism is no longer productive for him or for you? Well, this is where the devil is in the details, and you can do so very quickly once you understand how to communicate with a dog, how to read a dog, and the right time and intensity of application if we're talking about, for instance, a positive punisher or a negative reinforcer. Sotiri Theodoropoulos says, high drive European Doberman would redirect on me. Yep, we deal with quite a few of those. So, it's not a problem for us to fix that. So I'm not surprised they got you squared away very quickly. John Matuzik says, love the DIY protection course. Yeah, so guys, I just released the DIY protection course. So those of you that have a gold membership, it's in your library. Go enjoy it. Those of you that do not, it is available. I've packaged it with the existing Protection Foundations course. And if you can get both those courses together, you can just get DIY protection. The reason I made this course is because so many people were asking me, like, I don't have access to a professional decoy. I don't want to go pay a decoy. I just want to be able to do this. So here's some things about DIY protection. So first of all, I said to myself, well, should I just make like basically a glorified sleeve tugging video, and it'll make people on the internet happy, and they'll feel like they're doing something productive because they'll be wearing a sleeve and the dog will be chewing on the sleeve, and it's like, ooh, protection. It's not. It's not at all protection. It's not going to help you in real life whatsoever. There's zero application to that. And I said, well, like, should I do that? And then I thought to myself, I said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested. I'll let other people do it. I'm sure they have. That's not for me. I said, I want to give people something that they can actually do with their dog that's going to teach the dog to do real protection work. The most important part of protection work is what? A lot of people get focused on the biting. It is actually not the biting. The most important part of protection work is a dog that recognizes a threat and lights up on that threat and shows a very convincing and determined deterrent picture. That is number one. Whether that's on the end of the leash, at a window, at the door, in your vehicle, at the fence, wherever, your dog needs to be able to do that. 99.99% of people, they see a dog at the end of the leash snarling and barking and trying to get to them with every muscle and fiber in his body. They're not engaging that dog. They're not going to go and find out about the grip quality of the dog or any of that kind of nonsense, right? And the funny thing about it is, this is actually the least. You have to know how to do it, but you don't have to be a skilled decoy with many years of experience in order to accomplish it. So um, I said, you know what? Let me take what I do with our protection dogs here, how I teach activations, how I teach them. So I have a big thing with protection dogs. My thing is this: a lot of people just get focused on equipment, how the dog's biting on a suit, so on and so forth. For me, that's actually not the most important thing. The most important thing is that when the dog is potentially faced with a real situation in which the dog is truly afraid, like, oh my God, I could be hurt, I could be killed. The dog has this fear. How does the dog respond? The vast majority of dogs, if they've never been to that mental and emotional place before, they run. They can't handle it, right? Unless they're really good genetically, they will run. It's just not for them, right? But if you show a dog how to deal with that productively, if you show a dog how to express, how to deal with that emotion, how to deal with that perception in a productive manner, obviously forward active aggression, you will be amazed at what that dog is capable of doing, right? Just like human beings. So a lot of people get focused on, the mechanics of how a dog is biting, and a lot of things that, quite frankly, from that standpoint, don't matter. I've met a lot of dogs that can really bite a suit very well, or that have really nice grips, and they know how to counter full and hard, and they have nice pushing grips, so on and so forth. But if you take them into the woods and somebody, let's say, jumps out at them and walks them down and doesn't act at all like a decoy, those dogs are headed for the hills, right? Because they've never seen that before. They've never felt that before. And that's something that's actually very easy to expose them to in a proper and productive manner. And that is something that you can use to build a foundation and teach these dogs how to actually deal with those, how to become comfortable being uncomfortable, and how to actually show real intent based aggression And at the end of the day, intent-based aggression will lead to a bite if necessary. So my whole course that I designed was for that. So it does take two people, but the good news is the second person does not have to be a decoy. The second person can be your friend. The second person can be your partner. The second person can, if you have an older kid, use them. You know, the dog doesn't even need to recognize the person. Uh, it takes two warm bodies to teach it, but neither of them need to really know what they're doing other than to follow my videos. The reason why it takes two people, there is no such thing. And I'll tell you guys this, I do a lot of bite work on my own dogs. There's no such thing as teaching protection all by yourself. You need a friend. All right. So if you don't have one, go make one. You need a friend. One, just at least one friend. You cannot do it on yourself. And the reason why you can't do it on yourself is because if you dogs are really big on context and classical conditioning. So for instance, when I hold my dog by the collar and I go watch watch, his response to that is not a conscious response like, oh, he's saying the word, so that means that there's danger around and I should light up. No, that is a classically conditioned stimulus response mechanism that we've created. That sound means to do this and feel this way, right? That full on aggression. And he's anticipating the presence of an agitator, even if he doesn't see the agitator. If you do it yourself, guess what's going to happen when you give that command? He's turning this way, right? If that dog has only ever bitten you, you've done like, and I do a lot of my own bite work, don't get me wrong. But if you do all your own bite work, that dog won't understand that he can go and bite somebody else. He go turn around and try to bite you, right? You cannot do it yourself. You cannot. I'm a professional. I do it myself, but not all of it. I know the moments where I need to bring other people in to generalize the training so the dog isn't hyper dependent on me. And I don't do aggression work by myself ever, right? I'll do grip development, stuff like that. But that stuff is actually not necessary for real protection work. That's more like stuff if you're real picky about the mechanics of how the dog is biting, if you're involved in dog sports, so on and so forth. But if you just want like a dog that's going to light up on command, a dog that is going to recognize a sketchy situation or somebody that's being threatening and react appropriately, you don't need grip development, right? So those types of things that I work on myself, that doesn't apply to a real protection dog anyways for the most part. Now obviously our tailor trained, like our expensive protection dogs that we sell to the general public, those dogs have both. Those dogs have the bite mechanics, the grip development, all that. But the most important thing they have is what I put in the DIY protection course. And all it takes is two warm bodies. And you guys just follow that process and watch those videos carefully. And you get to the point where a dog's going to light up on command. He's going to bark. He's going to do all that stuff. And if necessary, if you want to do the biting part, I put a biting part in there so you can do the biting part. Hey guys, I see y'all jumping on here. Travis has grabbed your book and read it a few times now. We got our shepherd. We got our shepherd on this coming Saturday. We are excited to train Garm to your guidance. Awesome, Travis. I hope you enjoy him. My name is Christopher from the Pro Trainer course. Any suggestions for a dog that is hard to say but outwardly low confidence and just genetics in general? For a dog that is hard to say but outwardly low confidence and just genetics in general. I'm not sure what you mean there. You gotta be more clear with what you're asking. Affectionate boat life. Hi, Has. What breed do you think is the smartest, just generally, not for a specific purpose or easiest to train? Probably the Border Collie. When you play Dogs with your dog, do you try to win? What technique do you employ? This is from the No Pill Man, I employ my power play technique, which I share in my power play course. And no, my goal is for the dog to always win. If the dog's always winning, he's having a great time. Zach Reeves says, hi, Has. I'm on the brink of pulling the trigger on the reactivity course, but I just wondered if it addresses close encounters with dogs. My dog's reactivity is 95% of the way fixed. It's just close encounters. It addresses any encounter. I don't care if the dog is 3 inches away or 30 feet away. The rules are the same. You don't be reactive unless that other dog obviously jumps on him or tries to attack him. Like there's no time in which aggression towards another dog is warranted ever. Just Breaks and Disc says Shield Canine fixed my reactivity in one session using way less aversion and correction than any other trainer I worked with. It's funny. Hey, don't say that now. Don't say that now. You're ruining my reputation. Everybody likes to think I'm some kind of brutal savage. And I don't like to dissuade people of that. So don't say things like that. I don't want people to know. Hello from Pakistan. Well, hello to you. Hello, I'm running through. This is Christina. Your tracking course online, and my pup gets excited when you pull away and let go back. He lays down his front. How do I fix this? I start tapping him with the leash when he lies down so he gets up, and I start moving forward so the dog understands that he needs to start getting forward. It's normal for that to happen. That's why I usually run the leash after a while up underneath their arm. So if I pull up on the leash, they have to get up. But the reason why he's lying down is because he wants to be as close to the ground as possible because that's where all the reward is, right? You're tracking and all the food is in the ground. So he's like, if I get closer to the ground, she can't take me away from it, right? Which is a good thing, but also you have to know how to progress past that. Eric the Great, we teach our children in school. It's scientifically proven a dog can retain time, so humanity is perfectly fine with dog tacos. I don't even know what you said there. I'm sorry I even read it. Um, let's see what else here. Does DIY protection course cover puppy young dog training, or can it be applied to a 2 to 8 month old dog? I'll definitely get it eventually, either way. You can do it with a puppy. Obviously, keep it age appropriate. Like don't put tons of pressure on the puppy, but you can certainly do so. The way that the DIY protection course works is we don't need prey drive, right? Like this is the process I employ for dogs that like don't have any prey drive. So I don't need drive. All I need is the dog to be like the dog doesn't even have to be so confident. They just can't be a complete nerve bag. If the dog's a complete nerve bag, it probably shouldn't be doing protection work with that dog anyways. It's not the most. It's like giving like a someone who's like really anxious, high strung, and unstable a gun. It's like, why would you do it, right? But if it's a young dog, just keep it age appropriate. If you see a portion, like when you get to the portions where we're adding pressure, right? And we're really kind of up in the ante, you got to use your common sense and be like, is the puppy ready for this? If not, well, we should be going slowly. I don't rush puppies in protection at all, right? For me, I don't view a dog as not being a puppy until at least a year of age. So, you got to use your common sense and take your time. Jindo Man says, let's bring up the likes, y'all. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And yes, let's bring those likes up. Hey, Has, you have any reservations that trainers will use your videos and just jam any and all dogs through their own program? Well, trainers are constantly fucking up dogs as we speak, and they're using 1,000 programs to do it. And I'm sure some of them are misconstruing what I've said on YouTube, or maybe some of them even bought the course. I mean, I can't be accountable for everyone that's incompetent, and I'm not one of those people that believe in bubble wrapping the world because there are incompetents among us that are unfortunately probably shouldn't even be trusted with an internet connection. I don't subscribe to that. I put the information out there, and it's like anything, right? You can do good with it, or you could do harm with it. It's that's quite frankly on your head and not mine. So all I do is I put the information out there. It's like saying, are you concerned if you manufacture knives that someone might stab somebody with the knife? It's like, maybe they could. Is it my fault? No. The vast majority of people are going to use that knife productively, but you know, it's like anything. Uh, Toxic Fang, how can you tell the difference between genetic fear versus learned fear? Um, that's something that, I would say genetic fear, the dogs generally they're fearful of like everything. It's like everything sketches them out. Every noise, every sudden movement, every little thing is just like a big deal. You know, Learned fear, that's where you can see it very specific to like some specific contexts. Um, that's probably the best way that I can. It's something. Look, when I see those types of dogs, I just know it. I can recognize them. I'm like, oh, you're a you know, genetically a fearful dog. But it's kind of hard to explain it on the internet. What methods can I employ to prevent a dog from lunging at other dogs during walks? I positioned him in a heel. When the dog fixates on him, he charges, necessitating multiple corrections to say. Yeah, that's bulldog. That's because you're trying to hide a behavioral problem with obedience, and that's not what we do, right? I don't ever hide behavioral problems with obedience. The first thing that I do, and anybody that's worked with me knows, the first thing that I do is I say, oh, there's a dog coming, or there's a person coming, whatever his particular poison is. There's a car coming, whatever it is that he likes to get after. Forget all the obedience. We're going to make this clear right now. Obedience comes after the dog understands what he can and cannot do. How can I have obedience if he's still, it's like trying to teach a murderer math, right? Like he has this strong urge to kill. And anytime someone comes within 6 feet of him, he's doing his very best to kill them. But it's like, no, if we could just teach him math, if he could be doing his times tables, then he wouldn't think about killing. It's like, no, that doesn't make sense, right? First, if there's any hope of working with them, and good news is reactive dogs are a lot easier to work with than human murderers, right? Um, we're going to resolve the murdering problem first, then we'll do the times tables. And you'll find that when he's no longer thinking about killing people, his aptitude for the times tables increases exponentially. This is, when you train like in a common sense way, it makes sense, right? So my reactive my form of address for reactivity is fixing that first, then we do the obedience. Let's see here. If a dog's elbow begins to hover as you approach him in anticipation of the sit in the basic, is negative reinforcement with the down command in order, or does that warrant positive punishment? Definitely not positive punishment. Positive punishment is just punishing, right? Think about what you just said, right? You're talking about a small, minor inconvenience and obedience that a judge may or may not point, right? Oh no, his elbow's hovering an inch above the ground. You might lose half a point if the judge is an asshole, right? You're talking about positive punishment. What do you think he's going to think, right? Oh, okay, I got positively punished. Was it because I was lying down? Was it because you were coming close to me? Was it because I was in this general area? This is where suspicious associations occur, right? This is where people fuck their dogs up. No, what do you want? You want him to lie down all the way with his elbows on the ground. So what should you be doing? You should be applying pressure, negative reinforcement, to reinforce that position. Positive punishment is a rare thing. Positive punishment is something I only do for behaviors that are completely unacceptable, like trying to attack other dogs and stuff like this. I don't do this for like, oh, he's making a small mistake in obedience. I'll use pressure in my obedience training, but I will not positively punish a dog for making a mistake in obedience because 9 out of 9, they're not going to understand that. Again, let's go back to, you know, the uh, the analogy of somebody learning something. In this case, we have to make it physical, right? Because this is a physical thing. So, for instance, if my boxing coach told me, "Hey, keep your left hand up. Keep your left hand up." He told me a couple times. I didn't do it. So then he caught me with a hook to the side of the head, right? Bring my left hand up. Did he positively punish me? No, he negatively reinforced me to bring my left hand up, which was his goal all along. What if I didn't bring my left hand up? He threw his gloves down, grabbed me by the front of the shirt, threw me on the ground, and just proceeded to beat the living shit out of me. Would I have learned what he wanted me to learn? No, of course not. I'd probably just be generally afraid to deal with him, right? Like you just be like, well, this was all bad. This was all just like a terrible experience. Like, I don't even want to spar. I don't want to do pads with this guy. Like, I don't even want to be in this gym anymore, right? Because I didn't understand like what it was for. It wasn't clear, right? It just didn't make sense for what you were looking at. This is why people need to understand the difference between positive punishment and negative reinforcement. Why would a dog run in a trial even though it has no issues in training, even when confronted with trial level of pressure from the decoy? Is it an issue of training and heart? Well, 100%, but I bet you the dog was not. I have yet to see a dog that was properly prepared for trial that ran ever in my life. Ever in my life. right? There's no way. I know some people like to delude themselves and believe that they have shown their dog, pressure in training, but in reality, listen, there's pressure and then there's pressure. And there's pressure from somebody that knows the dog, and there's pressure from someone the dog does not know. And then there's pressure of being in a different place. And then there's pressure of, being in the place that you always train in. There's a lot of ways that pressure can affect a dog. And if you're really trial ready, you're accounting for all those things. The other thing that people don't account for, right, is handler pressure. Okay. So, like in a trial, think about it. Your dog in training, depending on how you train, maybe makes mistakes. When your dog makes mistakes, you always hold them accountable for the mistakes. Most handlers do. Most handlers, they micromanage the dog through every training session. And there are times when that's appropriate and there's times when that's not appropriate. But let's say now you're in a trial, and those of you in my trial prep course know what I'm talking about here, but I'll give you kind of like the cliff notes right now. Let's say you're in a trial, and all of a sudden you're no longer giving your dog the constant feedback that you always give them, right? You're making a mistake, you're making a mistake, you're making a mistake. So now in trial, the dog has made like multiple mistakes, and you're giving him nothing, nothing. How's he supposed to deal with that? In some cases, in many cases, the dogs go more out of control. They're like, oh, sweet, no rules. I'll do whatever the heck I want, right? In other cases, the dogs become progressively more worried because all of a sudden your interaction with them has changed, right? So again, everything needs to be prepared for properly. And in all cases, when a dog runs in a trial, it's because the preparation was not correct, or the handler is just not honest about the the dog that they have, right? And they're putting this dog in situations that you will get at a top level trial that, the dog is just not, unfortunately, equipped to deal with. So, yeah. Hey, I purchased the Protection Foundation course from you a while ago. Will I be able to get access to the DIY protection course you're putting out? No, because that's a standalone course. Um, so I made a package with both of them, but it was not for the people that just bought that standalone course. The good news is you're already in my Facebook group, and it was 40% off for all my existing members in the Facebook group for that course. So it's not too expensive. Hey, if someone, this is from Moonlight, if someone can put a pack of strong dominant breeds like Akitas um, and can train reactivity and aggression, are they considered the 1% of trainers? I don't know at what, right? Like that's a very kind of like random set of variables, Um, I know multiple people that run like packs of like presses. They'll run packs of like, you know, German shepherds, like we're talking like 20, like a lot of them, right? Like of and they run like, they'll run like 10 Dogo Argentinos together and stuff like this. Um, they all have some ability, but I think in many cases it's how they raise the dogs and the fact that they raise those dogs in such a environment. So let me put it to you like this. If I was to raise a whole bunch of dogs together, right? Like let's say I took 10 young dogs, or let's say I just took a couple of young dogs and I started raising them, and then I just kept adding to the group, and there was like, let's say within a short period of time, like 7, 8 of them. There's this thing. So those of you that keep fish, you'll know about this. There are certain types of fish that are aggressive. You can't keep them together because if you keep them in small numbers, like 2, 3, they'll all team up or just they'll fight each other to the death until one of them's dead. Now, when you keep like 10 of them, they can no longer fight each other to the death because there's too many of them and the aggression is diffused. It's like, who do we pick on? I don't know. I'm seeing someone new every 3 seconds and they're just in a state of overstimulation. It is that way with dogs as well. If there's enough of them, it does diffuse the aggression. Doesn't mean that they can't all turn on one, but it does make it a lot less likely. So, no, for me, it's like, it's cool to see for sure. But I mean, for me, it's like, what do you mean top 1% of trainers? What is a dog trainer, right? The average dog trainer, what do they need to be able to do? Well, they need to be able to functionally train pet dogs. and they need to be able to resolve behavioral problems that pet owners face. So, you know, does having a pack of dogs prove that? I wouldn't say it does, but is it cool? Yeah, for sure it is. Shayna says power play course is epic. Thank you. Where am I from? I'm from Canada. I just had a baby husky. How much do they go for? I don't know. Probably too much. Jack Berry, what are your thoughts on MVBK Malinois working dogs? Some of them are nice. You know, a lot of the ring line dogs are soft now. The MVBK dogs, they're becoming progressively more soft, right? Because of the rule changes in Europe. So you know you cannot use tools anymore, and they're becoming appropriately soft so that they can be handled without tools. They have some drive, but the softness is too much now. You're starting to see the quality really decrease very quickly. Don't ask me about e-collar levels. There's literally no such thing as an average. Um, every dog is completely different. Anthony, I have better things to do. Listen, I'll say this. People are always like, "Oh, I love you and I love this other guy," and I'm like, "How can you love me and love this other guy?" Because we're like literally the opposite. You know, like I know how to train dogs. I do behavior modification. I compete in sport at the highest level. Uh, and the other dude just bullshits on the internet. It's like, bro, stay with him then. I don't care. Like, it's like kind of saying, like, let me think of an appropriate analogy. You know, it's like saying, like, you know, I love Taylor Swift and Metallica. It's like, what? You know what I mean? Like those are two very different things. You know, you, they're not the same at all. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, I every moron on the internet I don't have to deal with. You know what I mean? It's not necessary. You know, they can say what they want and do what they want. I'm just here to educate, share my experience, so on and so forth. You know, and if people don't like that, you know what they say. Hey, Haz, I'm looking for a working line German Shepherd pup. What should I look for when choosing a pup? A good breeder. Missing the cigar. That's from Christina. Yeah, me too. I was going to go outside, but it's a little chilly tonight, and quite frankly, I just didn't feel like it. Are you familiar with Chameleon's Martin systems? And if so, why is it so expensive? I don't know. Go ask Bart Ballon. He's the one who makes them. Yeah, guys, hit the like button. It's absolutely free and it helps the algorithm. Bautista says, thank you for always sharing your experience, brother. Looking forward to sign up next week for the trainer's course. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Do not spam the chat. Do not spam the chat. If you're spamming the chat, I'm just going to ban you from the channel. Okay? I'm not here to just answer every silly question that people come up with. You got to do some research, go back. I'm tired of repeating myself 100 times. You know, you got to understand some of these questions that are being asked. I've answered already 1,000 times in previous lives and previous videos. If you don't watch, it's not my problem. What age would you recommend protection training to begin, given there's already a good foundation of obedience already? My Doberman is now 18 months, and we're going for our BH soon, hopefully. As soon as possible, man. If he's 18 months, I'd get started. Typically, I start right after teething. Manny says, when you're training a dog for protection work and that dog initially shows fear, how do you know if the dog is able to overcome the fear or if the dog is not cut out for the protection work? Repeated exposure, the truth. The truth will be exposed with repeated exposure. Some dogs blossom in the fire and other dogs shrivel in it, right? So that's it at the end of the day. And obviously we work in such a way that we give the dog every opportunity to blossom. We don't just do meaningless things and hope the dog figures it out. Everything is in a tiered and stepped system in such a way that the dog has every opportunity to win and show the dog where the relief of the pressure is and what the desired behavior is. And then we just kind of escalate slowly, piece by piece. We train, progressive overload, right? Um, a lot of dogs, come through it and really become something special. And some dogs, unfortunately, don't make it through it. They're just not cut out for it. They're not the dog that's going to ever really kind of be able to do it in any kind of meaningful way. But the vast majority of dogs, I would say, make it through it. What's going on, Dave? Rice Farmer says, thanks, Has, for all the free content. Planning to buy your lead off leash as a result. Fantastic, buddy. Hope to see you in there. Is 8 months of age okay to introduce protection? That's from Savage or Average. It will be his first time in any type of protection setting. I'm still trying to find a local place that seems to be good. Yeah, for sure. It's a good age. Nothing wrong with that age. Michelle says, hey, Has, my reactive is still prone to exploding at the vet. Is that purely because they increased adrenaline on other dogs in the waiting area? Is that more of a wounded animal triggering hunt drive? It's probably more a question of you don't want to correct the dog in front of the vet. And the dog figured that out real quick, right? So there's that. And then there's probably not actually practicing the vet, right? Like you can practice the vet. You can literally take your dog. So I've talked about this before. When I competed at the World Championship, I knew that there was going to be a vet check. And I mean, it turned out that this World Championship, the last World Championship I went to, the vet check was like really nothing. But apparently, in some of them, your dog can even be dismissed for growling, right? And the vet check can be very invasive. They put the dog on a table, they're touching the dog all over, they're pulling on the dog, they're doing all these things, right? So it's really important that you actually practice that. I didn't just like say, well, I'm going to wait and see what happens. No, I would practice that. I'd put my dog up on a table. I'd have people come. I'd hold his head. I'd have them, pull on his legs and touch his stomach. And I would positively reinforce him for doing well. And I would correct him for not doing well. And until he just started to perceive it as another form of training, right? And then when I actually had to do it in real life, it wasn't a problem. How do you stop your dog lunging for other dogs on walks? My reactive rehab course. That's how. What do I do if a dog doesn't get real close to a handler during a formal front? It seems like the dog is not confident with the closeness required. Well, I back chain, right? I back chain the formal front. So if I want the dog to be closer in the front, I'll back chain. I'll start. Everybody does the same silly thing, right? They all take the food and keep stepping back and trying to suck the dog in to reinforce the dog. But all you're doing is you're just adding another piece to your formal front where the dog just thinks, okay, I'll come and sit in front. And then they do the step back thing. And then I get a little closer and then they give me food. And that's what happens over and over again. Instead of actually training from the beginning, I take the dog in the beginning. I don't teach them to come to me. I actually teach them to sit in front of me. That's the first thing that I do. So in my formal front course, I go through all of this and you guys can see how I do it. Guys, everybody with the reactive dog questions, like, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you on the internet? Do this magical thing and all your problems are going to go away. I just finished telling you guys it doesn't matter what tool you use. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't understand all the nuances and timing of what you're doing, that you're not going to fix the problem. I don't care if you're using 10 e collars, bonkers, slip leads, all this nonsense, right? It's not going to work. You got to take the course. The course has hours of video that I go over all the nuances of the behavior, how to recognize the precursors, how to, stop it before it starts, how to deal with it when it's happening, after it happens, all of this stuff. You got to take the reactive rehab course. Would love to come train with you guys someday. Well, hopefully you make it happen. Dennis Anderson says, bought your book. Great info. Thank you, sir. Elijah says, my Roddy is like 1.5 months old and mouthing when he's excited. Not sure how to punish it. I mean, you can give him a leash correction. You can give him a smack on the nose. Depends on the dog. Depends on what you've done. Again, sounds like you don't. Sounds like you're a man with no plan, right? You're asking me how to correct mouthing. Makes me wonder what else is going on, right? It's never just one problem. There's probably a lot of other things going on. You don't have a plan. You're just kind of feeling around in the dark, hoping for the best. It generally does not happen. And then at some point, you're like, well, okay, it's a real shit show now. He's 2.5. He's like 150 pounds, and living with him sucks. Maybe I should go and find a professional trainer. I would say probably do that now. Save yourself some time. Get it done properly from the get go. I mean, you're already 15 months in, and follow a plan. Get that dog fully functionally obedience trained, and then you won't have to worry about these things. Zach Reeve says, has with the e-collar placement, I've been putting the contacts just behind the ears at the top, but I notice you put it on the sides of the neck. Does it matter where it's located? Not really. The No Pill Man says there's a lot of nuance to your training system that is difficult to communicate on an online medium. So people, particularly force-free yahoos, get their own ideas. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Absolutely. And I always laugh. I'll post like a video of like a reactivity fix video. Oh, the dog's reactive. Now he's not. And everyone's like, it's because you shocked him with the e-collar. And I always, man, like, as bad as it is, I like kind of almost think, you're such a you're such a dumb idiot. I wish you would just put an e-collar on a dog and try to shock it out of reactivity. Because at some point, you're going to get what you deserve when you try to do that nonsense. Don't do it, folks. Don't do it. It doesn't work. 9 out of 10, it doesn't work. Can it work sometimes? Yes. Is it going to have good effect? Generally, no. Is there going to be good longevity to it? Generally, not. Don't do that. E-collar, shocking a dog for reactive aggression generally just makes it worse and generally leads to other behaviors like the dog turning around and trying to bite you. Ariana says, why is Chico so crazy on the suit? He looks straight up addicted. Well, when you get a high drive intense dog and you give them a brand new experience like that, they generally get like that. Work email says, I took my 7-month-old male puppy, went to the park today, and he kept lunging. Corrections aren't helping. What can I do? I really do correct hard and show him what to do and pressure him into a down and mark it. Yeah, well, none of that sounds like what I would tell you to do. So, what do you mean corrections aren't helping? You're not correcting him. Whatever you're doing is not a correction. Your dog will tell you if you corrected him. If you corrected him, the behavior would have changed, right? So, you're doing something and you think you're accomplishing something, and obviously he's telling you, hey, you're not correcting me. I don't understand what this means. This is just going to escalate my behavior. This is just going to increase my frustration. Again, you are, and again, I'm trying not to be an asshole here, but you guys like that ask me all these questions, you are people without a plan. This is what you're doing. Oh, I think I know what I'm doing. Oh, if I just keep doing this, maybe something will change. It's like, no, it doesn't work, right? You don't know what you're doing. Get yourself a plan. Find yourself a professional. Don't sign up with me. I don't care. Sign up with somebody else. Get yourself a freaking professional and follow a training system that makes sense in which you escalate the dog's understanding, right, in a reasonable amount of time, what he should and should not do, whether it's a social situation, whether it's obedience, all of these things. How do you get a Malinois and you don't have a plan? How do you get a Rottweiler and you don't have a plan? It's like, motherfucker, you need a plan. right? Like you can't buy these types of dogs and not have a plan. Go get yourself a Shih Tzu if you don't want to have a plan. Like these dogs are going to make your lives a living hell. They're going to fuck your world up, right? Or somebody else's world up. It's like get a damn plan. Don't be asking me stupid shit on the internet, right? Like you like it's like, bro, I, I don't know. Maybe I should go on like some bodybuilders uh, live and be like, "Hey, bro, like I go to the gym and I do a whole bunch of random shit, but I'm not jacked. What should I do?" Right? And it's like he's just gonna look at me like I'm some kind of a fucking retard because it doesn't make any sense. It's like anybody knows you need a plan. You follow a plan. You train progressive overload. You look after your nutrition. You do all this shit, right? Obviously, I don't really care all that much. Otherwise, I'd be doing it. But my point is this, right? You have to have some common sense. You're buying these types of breeds. You better have a plan. And your plan better not be asking me questions on a live YouTube. What is my favorite part of Schutzhund? My favorite part of Schutzhund is winning. That is my favorite part. What is the most difficult? Every other part of it. Every other part of it. Um, Oakley says, "Thank you for everything you do, Has. Your program has helped me so much." No problem. Thank you. Would you look at a dog? Would any showline dogs in the pedigree deter you? Of course. Of course. It's like it's like saying, look, I'm trying to select, let's say humans were being bred in such a way that we would know the entire pedigree, right? And I'm trying to select a human being to be, a warrior, right? Like I need to pick this guy. He's going to be the ultimate soldier, right? I want to pick a kid who I can raise to become the ultimate soldier. He needs to be brave. He needs to be strong. He needs to be athletic. He needs to be determined. And I saw like, okay, there was like his father, was like a fighter, his grandmother was like in the military, whatever. You guys get the point, right? But then I saw one parent or one grandparent was just a complete pussy. Would it be a good idea? Would I bet on it? Well, no, because I understand genetically that blood, right? It's going to come through, right? And it's going to potentially, not necessarily, but potentially, it's going to decrease the odds of him being successful in that particular task that I have selected him for, right? So 110% I would not. If I was serious about a working line dog for working line things, if I just wanted like, you know, a pretty dog, then who cares? I see you answered my question already. Hey, Has, in your experience, what are the biggest strengths and weaknesses of a male? And this is, by the way, this is the whole thing with the show lines and the working lines. Show line dogs lack nerve and drive because they are bred for conformation. Working line dogs, in many cases, also lack nerve and drive, right? Because it's very, very hard to consistently produce nerve and drive. It's not like conformation. Conformation is very easy to influence through breeding, right? Nerve and drive is much more difficult to set and to stabilize. In fact, I would say it's impossible to set and to stabilize. But their best shot at it is multiple generations of good nerve and good drive and a strong heart, right? Some people think heart's genetic, some people don't. I happen to think I happen to think heart is genetic, right? I happen to think it is genetic, but regardless, and for those of you wondering what I'm speaking about when I say heart, there are dogs that I've met that have generally good nerve and fantastic drive, but they don't have the heart to overcome adversity. The second the going gets like really tough, the dog gets going. And for me, that's like a no go. For me, like for instance, Gage, really strong heart. He doesn't have like the best genetic talents, but he has like a super strong heart. There's next to no quit in that dog, right? Um, so that's what I'm speaking about. What are the biggest strengths of male versus female German Shepherds in protection work? I mean, females are just less, generally. Generally. In the grand scheme of things, they're less because they lack testosterone and they have a higher level of self preservation, as most females of any species do, because it turns out that Their reproductive function is to protect and raise the young, and it's kind of hard to do that when you are severely injured or dead. Really enjoy training. Does your trainer course also go over the business side of things? Yes, it does. Good morning from Japan. Thank you for the live. How do you train little dogs like chihuahuas or toy poodles without breaking your back? um, well, I mean, you're going to have to bend over. I hate to say it, Mina. You're going to have to bend over. That's all I can say. If they're short, you got to get down on their level. Ty says, how often do you see working line German Shepherds having skin allergies? Very common. And how often do you see a switch to raw fix it? What would you say the cost is to feed a large meal? Man, you're getting into some specific questions, math and shit. I can't help you with that. But I'll tell you this much. In all cases, when I see a dog that has bad skin, okay, so there's generally two possibilities. When a dog has like skin issues, it can be seasonal. So it just crops up in like specific seasonal changes and then it goes away on its own, or it can be related directly to the food that the dog is eating, which is causing the autoimmune issue. For me, generally, I'll try a switch to raw, or I'll try a switch to a fish based kibble. And I'd say about 75% of the time that does fix it. Anthony says, are there any of the popular IGP dogs competing either now or in the past you would have liked to own? Um, I can't say. I mean, I don't. There was that one man. His name is escaping me. He has like that speedy long attack video. That would have been a cool dog to own. Like he's the one that like took the sleeve off the helper 2 times. His name is completely Zanuck vom Gronstar. I would have liked that dog just for the long attack. I would have just been like, I would be like, let's get through everything and get to the long attack so I can have my highlight reel. I just stand there for my highlight reel with that dog every single time. It's rare to see a dog that has a long attack like that. And when you have a dog that has a just like a, there was a Mali that had a long attack like that, Junker de Alphaville Bohemia. That dog was like, again, like just retard long attack, like so fast, right? And that's the kind of dog you would love to have. Just you get through every other part of the trial and you just stand there for the long attack and you're like, all right, folks, get your cameras out because this is going to be a doozy. I'd like a dog like that. But other than that, I can't think of one. Is there a reason to sterilize a dog if it's completely healthy? And if so, what age? No, I don't think so. If it's healthy, I don't see a reason to sterilize. Is every single course included in the pro trainer? Of course it is. The pro trainers need access to the entire body of knowledge that I have available online, and so they have access to it. Looking for a second person for DIY protection. I'm on Facebook private page, Rick Moore. Rick, all you need is a friend, a family member, just a warm body. Somebody maybe pay a homeless guy. They're great. That's all you need, just a second warm body. How much of a difference do you see between starting obedience as a young puppy or waiting till the dog's more mature, around a year and a half? Um, yeah, I mean, there is a difference. You waste a lot of time fooling around for that long. There's no reason for me to put obedience off. Um, I think, dogs that you start off as puppies, the obedience just so much more set. Like, for instance, the foundation that I have on Gage, that's a rock solid foundations because I started him at approximately 4 months of age and didn't stop, right? Thoughts on Dog Daddy? He has some pretty epic tracksuits. The No Pill Man. The reactive course completely eliminated my dog's people and bike aggression and has greatly reduced my dog's dog aggression. That's cool, man. That's awesome. Highly recommend. Let's get that greatly reduced down to zero. So, zero is going to be you just taking nothing, right? Tolerate nothing. So, I give you guys my attitude when it comes to reactivity. I'm gonna have to sign off soon because we're getting a little late here. Um, when it comes to reactivity, when I get a client in, I don't go for like low hanging fruit of okay, you can't handle another dog just being in the room. Let's resolve that first, and then we'll take do the next thing next week and the next thing next week and so on and so forth. No, no, no. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, you can't handle a dog being in the room. Okay, we'll fix that. All right. From there, I guarantee you can't handle a dog running by you. Okay, let's do that. Okay, dog running by. Oh, he blows up. Okay, we fix that. All right. I guarantee you can't handle a dog barking at you. Let's do that. All right, dog barking at you. I guarantee you can't have a dog biting a tug and growling and tugging within like 2 feet of you. Let's do that. Right. So you see, right? I don't just that, for instance, again, that reel of reactive to not reactive that I just posted with the German Shepherd. I was like about, I don't know, 10 feet, 15 feet away from that dog, and he was blowing up, and we weren't even doing anything. My dog's just sitting there. In the after reel, what do I have? I have the dog within like 5 feet of him barking and jumping on me and showing a lot of arousal. And generally speaking, with the reactive dogs, arousal is what sets them off, right? In the beginning, it's, oh, we can't just be, or for most of them, okay, they get to the point where it's like they just can't even see another dog without lighting up. But once you get that resolved, then they'll be like, well, if the dog runs by me, I'm going to light up. Or if the dog barks at me, I'm going to light up. Or if the dog shows any kind of energy or arousal towards me, I'm going to light up. And it's not, no, we eradicate all of that. I show the dog there is absolutely zero contingency possible for reactivity. I literally want to get to the point where, I had some lady come to me, nice old lady. She had a dog she was doing IGP with. Went to like four trainers to get this dog's reactivity out of the way because the dog was reactive, right, to our other dogs. And she couldn't take her BH because she was worried her dog was going to attack another dog. And in IGP, if your dog attacks another dog, you're going to be dismissed from the trial. You're going to fail, so on and so forth. It's bad, right? So what did I do? We got the dog very quickly to the point where literally my dog would bump into her dog as it was running by to give me the ball, and her dog would do nothing because he understood that there was no contingency under which he could show reactivity or aggression to another dog. You know, I did everything to that dog except literally have my dog jump on him and try to bite him because obviously that would be unfair. But everything else for me was fair game, right? And people kind of pussyfoot around too much, right? It's like, oh, okay, he's kind of good and it's a lot better than it's been and I'm happy. And it's like, no, I'm not happy until my dog can walk through fire with 10 barking dogs on either side of him. Then I'm happy, right? Because that's something that's reliable and solid. Ty says, we are determined to acquire an IGP title with our Yarrow Swamp Puppy. Awesome, man. Happy to hear it. What brand pants do I wear? I wear Arak Outdoor USA pants. They are fantastic. ARRAK. And you can use promo code HAS10 to save 10%. Armin Hammer says, I love your no nonsense approach to dogs and humans. Thank you, sir. Do I like KMPV dogs? Well, I mean, that's a very broad thing. It's like saying, do I like white people? Well, I like some of them, and others not so much. Is there a clicker that shows a random number on display? Is there research on the exact number of reward percent for the change to stay for longer? I think for humans, the casino did a lot of research. Yeah, I believe it's something like 50%. You need to be at like 50%. But that's if you're just relying on positive reinforcement alone, right? I don't. Work email says, I love it when you're real saving up for your pro trainer course and I messed up by getting a mal. You are right. Well, you could fix it. Just get my elite off leash obedience, right? That's definitely not as much as the pro trainer. That's like 10% of the cost of the pro trainer. And, it'll definitely get you squared away. What traits in dog would I find a deal breaker? Excessive fear. I don't like it because it's generally the dog will struggle with it forever. Have I done virtual reality boxing? No, but I'm sure it'll get good enough soon that, I'll be able to do it. I would like it. It would be cool to be able to like spar from your own home. But there's something about you know, I think you could build the technical skill, but again, when we speak about dog training and stress and understanding how to deal with stress productively, there's something about actually getting hit and knowing you're going to get hit that you could not duplicate, I think, in virtual reality. You need to feel it. You need to have that apprehension. You need to have that adversity. Otherwise, it's simply not going to be the same and you're not going to perform in the same way. Can you explain the yearly cost in your bundle packages after the initial one-time payment, Elite Gold? Well, that's for the Elite Gold. And the way it works is you get Elite Gold for an entire year for the stated cost. I believe it's like 11.99 or something like that. And then after that, every month it's just $6.99 to keep it, right? So like those of you that have followed me for a number of years, Elite Gold is my all-encompassing package that you get access to the entire online course library and anything new that I add. So like for instance, this DIY protection course that I just made went in there and everybody that has gold just got it automatically. They didn't have to buy it, right? So um, after the first year, we just go to a $6.99 subscription to keep access to all my courses and any new course I make. The reality is, I'm probably going to move over to a monthly subscription at some point in the future. I haven't decided when, and I haven't decided quite how to do that. It's not going to be anytime soon, um, but we're probably just going to go kind of more to like a Netflix model soon. Well, I shouldn't say soon. It's not going to be soon. It's going to be in a fair bit. And I just have to figure out kind of how to do that because it's not fair, obviously. I got people that they'll literally paid like $500 for a course, $1,000 for a course. I'm not gonna give it to some dude who just showed up for $6.99. You know what I mean? Doesn't work like that. But if you've already been with me for a year, for sure, you can keep access to gold for $6.99 a month. Somebody says your German Shepherd Chico is the real sport, real is the real and sport attacker. Yes, he's very much capable of doing both. You think I'm smoking the marijuana cigarettes? No, I do not. I hate marijuana. I would never smoke it. I did it once, like, man, was like 18, 20 years ago. I try, ugh, terrible stuff. I hate the smell. I hate the feeling. I don't do drugs of any kind other than nicotine and caffeine. And I don't drink alcohol at all. So, no. Would you consider Chico the highest level dog I have had? No. Onyx Cage's father was this a similar level dog. What do I think about the liver German Shepherd or the blue? That is a defect. Elite member, problems with a functional heel. My dog knows it well on and off leash, but problem is sometimes off leash will act like he's confused. Is this common? Well, if he knows it well, he shouldn't be confused. Um, you know, I would, if you're taking it depends on how that confusion is manifesting. This might be a question that is better for the Facebook group. But it would really depend on how the confusion is manifesting. It's kind of hard to like answer that question because I'm not sure. What is the most difficult part in training a reactive dog? Well, okay, for me it's easy because I do this for a living, and I've been doing it for a long time. But I think for the average person, it's allowing all the microaggression, right? All the precursors, all the small things, right? I always explain it to people like this, if you had someone that was well known for starting fights and you said, listen, you are no longer allowed to start fights with anybody. And he said, fine, I won't do it anymore, but all I'm going to do is this. And anytime somebody walks by, he just gave them the laser eyes and stared them down. Would you be like, well, okay, well, that's better? No, you'd be like, bro, you can't be looking at people like that. Like that's the same thing. That's a nonverbal threat. Yes, you left the verbal threat. There's no more verbal threat. There's no more maybe actual physical interaction, but you're staring at people in an extremely intimidating and aggressive way, and that is essentially a nonverbal threat. You might not be saying it with your mouth, but you're saying it with your body language. And a lot of people allow their dog to continue to threaten other dogs with their body language and show aggressive nonverbal displays. And having people learn to recognize that and consistently not allow that is the biggest thing that I find people struggle with. But once you're able to do it and you put an end to it, the dog becomes reactivity free. Yeah, if you're correcting your dog in public, I can see that it could cause some problems. Um, I would say that maybe look at the way that you're correcting the dog. There are certain things in the course that I do that you could certainly do in public and really probably not have any problems. Jump in the group and ask that question and I'll answer it. But yeah, look, a lot of people can threaten to report you and whatever else. You got to know your local laws. For me, it's really simple. Like our local laws are you can't maliciously do anything to an animal unless unless it's okay, you can't maliciously do anything to an animal. Um, you can't like deliberately cause distress to an animal. But the exception to that is like training, right? So it's like if you're doing something like obviously for the betterment of the animal, whether it's forcing a medical procedure on them or doing some training, then of course you can apply a reasonable amount of stress and pressure to the animal in order to resolve said issue or whatever else. But you got to know your local stuff. Uh, we got sensitive, reactive German Shepherd. Working a lot with him, was afraid of anything. Now he can peacefully eat. When 10 soldiers shooting, jump from waterfall from 2 meters, still reactive on dogs. What to do? Well, that was a interesting list of things that he could do. You correct him for that reactivity. Oh, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. We've been through this a bunch of times on this live, so I'm not going to go through it again. Um, The no pill man says, I have failed due to the complexity of the issue. Currently working with Larry Crone, who has been very helpful. I would have done a private session in person. Well, Larry's a good guy, so he should get you squared away. Should luring be done with both hands? I'd say, do you use personal play on obedience training? I use it all the time. Have I done any muzzle fighting? Yeah, I have. Have you? Um, Hey, I noticed you're a fan of Eminem's music in some of your short clips. You know Eminem dressed as a trans with a wig, and I call him Feminem. Um, I'm not a fan of any music person whatsoever. I think the vast majority of them are degenerates. Um, but I can appreciate good art when it's there. I don't even know, like, you have to understand. I'm not like a fan of like anybody's music for per se. Um, if I post like a reel and there's like a sound attached to it, like I don't like half the time even know who made it. I don't care. Literally, you go and it's like, oh, selected, recommended soundtracks, and you just click one. And you're like, okay, that sounds cool, and you put it on there. Like I don't care who sang it. I don't care what they did. I don't care what they're gonna do. It doesn't matter to me. Nicotine and caffeine. See, a lot of people love that nicotine and caffeine. What did I do before dog training? Emily, why don't you guess? You guess. Let me see what you come up with. What do you think I did? Is it wrong how much I enjoy people being impressed at how well trained my dog is off leash? No, it's not wrong. You put your time and effort into something and you're getting to enjoy the fruits of it. So, by all means, have a good one. When I get a new puppy, should I take her around places to socialize with my nervy 5-year-old German Shepherd? She's perfectly behaved, just crap genetics. I take her everywhere with me already. Yeah, as long as she's not going to act up, you know. Rough Gook says, "Hey, where I live in Europe, prong collars and e-collars banned. Is your elite off-leash course still applicable?" Uh, I don't think you can do it with a choke chain. You could do it with a choke chain. Um, it's going to be hard. Listen, the more tools are banned, it's not that you can't train dogs without tools. Well, in some cases, it will be extremely difficult. It's that training methods become progressively more crude as you remove tools. It's kind of like the same with anything in human times. Like, hey, can you like accomplish things without electricity? Yeah, sure you can, right? Just things get a lot more crude. Don't believe me? Go hang out with the Amish for a while. Can you accomplish? Can you live in a house without wood floors? Yeah, you can live on the dirt floors. Like we can get as crude as we need to get in order to accomplish something. But what you have to understand is the more you remove tools, the rules don't change. The rules are the same, right? All the tools do is the magnify your ability, right? So I would say the less ability you have and the less tools you have, the worse it's going to be. Um, so yeah, can you do it without the tools? Yes. I have many clients and people that take my courses that are in Europe, and they find a way to get their hands on all the tools that they need to get their hands on, and they make sure that those tools are not visible to the general public, and they go about their business. um, Having been in Europe, I can say you can certainly buy any one of those tools. If you go one country over, or so on and so forth, these tools can all be purchased either in person or online, and you can do whatever you got to do. Arm& Hammer says, "I'm thinking some type of construction or military." It's funny. Yeah, people think I'm in construction for some reason. I'm the least handy person you're ever going to meet. I was in the reserves for a while, but you know, that's not that's not really the same as being full-time military. I'm sure those of you that are military would agree with me on that. What do we call them? Weekend warriors. I was a weekend warrior for like 4 or 5 years when I was a young fella. Um, no. See, look, yeah, you guessed I was a cop. I was a social service worker. I work with homeless people for a living. I did that for 10 years. I'm a man of the people. I'm a humanitarian. Yeah, everybody's surprised when they find out what I did previously. I don't know why. Um, 1-8 Rabbit says, "Is it possible to train a dog with zero corrections?" Depends on what you define as a correction. If you mean like zero tools, there are some types of dogs, a certain personality type, generally a certain type of breed, that you can get fairly far without the use of any kind of, let's say, obvious pressure. There is non-obvious pressure. So, for instance, you know, a lot of dogs, if you just kind of provide a little spatial pressure and voice pressure, they might perceive it, but especially over a period of time, they're going to become desensitized to it and they're not going to care anymore. It's like, yeah, you can stand like that and speak like that all you like. I don't care. I know you're not going to do anything after you do all that, so it doesn't matter. It becomes meaningless after a period of exposure, right? Um, but there are some dogs, they're bred a certain way and they just have that certain personality type that any kind of like verbal or spatial pressure is extremely aversive to them. So you can train those dogs, with excess, like exclusively food. And when you need to pressure them, you just use your voice and your body language, and it's extremely meaningful to them. Is it that you train that dog force free, or is it that you just train that dog without obvious tools because it turns out you didn't need obvious tools in order to create pressure on the dog, right? I leave it up to you to decide the difference. But can you train a dog by never ever putting any pressure on the dog whatsoever and just only giving them good things? It's like saying, can I communicate with somebody by only ever saying yes and never saying no? The answer is no. Emily doesn't believe me. You don't believe me? Oh my gosh. Yeah, you don't think I could work with the homeless? I did. I did for 10 years. I was a manager in the shelter support and housing division for the city of Toronto. Yeah, I've already addressed. I know the degenerates in the chat asking me what my favorite drug is. I don't do drugs and I don't drink alcohol. Sorry to disappoint you. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. I will see you guys on the next one. Let me see if I can.